have to put these 2 end caps into the chicken coop for storage because that's the only place we have to store things. And the reason why we're storing them, we need to protect them because those are parts that are kind of specialty parts. I don't know if we could get replacement. I'm sure if we do find replacement items like that, they're going to be very expensive. So for right now, we're storing them in the chicken coop so we can get them out of the way inside the trailer so that we can work on the other things.
Is that a Sawzall in your hand, or are you just happy to see me?
All you're gonna do, right up against this fitting right here, and just let the saw do all the work. See, it does. You can start it out slow and then just do it to it. You know what to do.
I really am not a huge fan of the Sawzall. We have a video up about using the Sawzall for the first time. It scares the living you-know-what out of me, so I don't want to cut the whole Airstream apart on accident. Right here?
Yep. Good job.
I nicked the thing though. I always nick something at the end.
It's okay, that floor is coming up.
All right.
It's kind of neat, the light behind you makes your hair have an interesting glow.
It's a halo effect, it's called a backlight. I learned about it on YouTube, how to light things. I should have learned about it years ago when I first started shooting video for television news, but oh well, better late than never.
You can tell where water's infiltrated because on the screws, the screws that are used are they're steel. So they're capable of rusting. And so whenever you find surface rust on the screws, you can tell it's from water getting to it, causing rust. The rivets are all aluminum, so aluminum doesn't rust. But you can just see, and you can see it too, especially with like certain parts of the insulation. You can see where water's gotten in to certain parts. So it's a good thing we're doing all this, really. It'd be a shame to put all that work into like making the inside nice. I believe the saying goes, putting lipstick on a pig.
So I was asking you earlier, like, do you still think that $12,200 was a good deal for this? Or do you think now that we're seeing the water damage that we spent too much?
No, I think we could have probably talked it down a little more had we known some of this stuff, but I mean, the reality is you won't know it until you look at it. I mean, some of the giveaways, some of the clues were they redid all the flooring. So it certainly covered up. They cut out extensive rot already. So, no, I just think it's good we're doing what we're doing. And the trailer still seems to have good bones. So we'll know a lot more once we see the frame. The frame's gonna be the telltale. If we don't have to do any work to the frame that it's all sitting on, then we're doing really good. Then all the rest of this stuff is just a matter of putting stuff back together. I think we're determining whether or not we want to reuse these panels or just with the amount of holes in them, because it seems like there's more holes in them than there are actual need for rivets. Because even you yourself were saying that you were drilling out rivets that didn't seem to rivet to anything. So time will tell.
Whoa.
They look intact, but see, you can see here so when they built these, see this right here? They took two So basically it took 4 wheel wells to make the 3-wheel trailers. They would take 2 wheel wells from each side, cut them in half, and turn them into 3-wheel wheel wells. So that's why I was thinking, well, we may just remake, because I don't like this. Anywhere where you have like a seam or a gap, you open it up. I mean, just look at, like, right here, you can see where all of this, anywhere where you have like a seam or a gap, you open yourself up for the potential for water and other things to get in. So even though these seem really intact right now, we may still be remaking them, redoing them. You want to check on that end and see if it's free. There might be some rivets left on the floor of it. Wow, these are, you can see the water right there. And these rivets are like just done. They're toast. See all the water on the bit?
Yeah. So it just means the walls are just filled with water?
Well, it just means that there's some kind of leak coming from somewhere. Which means we would have, it's good that it just keeps reaffirming why we're doing this. All right, you ready? See all the condensation there? Or the water? That's, yeah, don't look at me, look at that.
Oh yeah, like right there.
Yeah, all the way across that whole side is wet.
All right, well, we, of course, as usual, did not get as much done as we set out to do, but we still got this side taken care of. So that's a success, and have found some concerning spots.
Yeah, there's definitely some water getting in at certain joints, certain seams. So, anticipated it. It's kind of a good thing. Honestly, I'd rather know it for a fact than to be wondering. So I think the biggest thing that we will have to do is, once we get the rest of the interior panels done and get this thing cleaned out, just I think a lot of that work is going to take place once the weather gets better anyways. So by the time things are drier and we actually have a little bit more warmth, I think things are going to just be a lot easier as far as getting this thing sealed up. That's the most important part. getting it sealed. Once we get it sealed and watertight, and we get the floor issues addressed, everything else is going to be much simpler.
Now I asked you, like, since we're finding wet insulation, we're finding a lot of fiberglass that's black and moldy and wet, and places where obviously we have leaks. The question always is, like, did we overpay for the Airstream? Lynn says no.
No.
We paid $12,200. We have other videos if you check them out on our channel, actually the day of the purchase, which was a fun day. He wanted $15,000. We brought cash and gave him $12,200. That's what we settled on. And you just never know what you're gonna find with one of these trailers, because there's really no way to know what's behind the walls until you start taking them apart, and nobody's gonna let you do that on the day you buy it. So you're always taking a chance, but every time we find something that's gonna need more attention, it's like, oh, no, that was a $500 or $1,000. Had we known it, we could have talked him down, but what are you gonna do? Hindsight 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we got ripped off. I think she still got good bones, and I think, you know, that was part of the reality. Is to have a trailer of this size, like brand new, it's almost $200,000 expense is what that is. So we're not going to come anywhere near that by the time we're done working on this thing. So I still think that's a success.
2,000, is that what you said?
I said 200,000.
200,000.
Yeah, we could have gotten cheaper trailers. There are cheaper trailers out there.
Yeah.
But we were going to incur a huge expense either going to see them and then deciding whether or not we were going to pull the trigger on that. We were going to end up with a trailer that somebody would have already gutted for us, which again, you know, I think the process of gutting it yourself is more educational than anything else. We're always going to have intentions of keeping as much, you know, reusing as much as we can. But that being said, you know, we're going to do what we need to do to make sure it's done right and there's longevity with it. But, you know, we're learning a lot along the way as we do it. So I don't feel the least bit bad about it. And it's just, for me, it's kind of, well, good to know. Like, you know, if we had maybe made the decision that we weren't going to go this far with it and we were just going to redo the inside without even taking a look at what was underneath the skin.
Yeah, just aesthetics.
I think we would have.
Because then we'd be like, this is a lot more work than we signed up for, but we knew we were gonna be signing up for this kind of thing anyway. I mean, when you're buying an Airstream, and we're no experts, this is our first and we're learning as we go, it just is one of those deals where each person's priorities are gonna be different. So depending on time and labor, I mean, maybe you wanna buy one that's ready to live in, and that is worth extra money, like it just is. You know, we didn't want to take out a loan or go into debt, so we knew we had a certain price range, and the reality is in our price range we were probably going to have to take things apart anyway.
Oh yeah, well there was a couple that we looked at before that we were like, oh my gosh. Like,
yeah, and you just have to know what you're getting into and just check your expectations and try to figure out ways to feel like you're making progress, even if it feels like it's taking forever. Just be like celebrating the little things that you get done, because it is a marathon, and I didn't even think about how much of a marathon it was going to be when we first got it, but I should have, because man, I'll tell you, 80% of the people that were getting rid of their Airstreams were people that just got to that point where they're like, this is going to take way longer than I thought, and I don't have that kind of time. And they're just getting rid of them. So you just gotta like be aware of what your schedule is, and then factor that into like what kind you want to get and how much work you can put into it. Because it's a shame to have this dream and want to do it and then just get to a point where you just give up on it because you're tired.
Yeah, we're not there, and we're not gonna get there. But I looked at it the same way as, you know, everybody knows that guy. It's like, oh, I'm gonna restore this car. And they get it in their garage, they get through 2 cases of beer, and the whole car's ripped apart, and then they're like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do now?
Right.
For me, I sat here for about 20 minutes while Allie was uploading some pictures on the old Instagram. You know, I'm just sitting there thinking through my head, like, the big milestones that we're gonna have to hit with this thing. And for me, you know, we're hitting a big milestone right now. Like this, having this gutted as much as we do, we've got probably another 40% or so left of the interior skins to do. Once we have all these skins down, then we can start really taking a look at the floor. I'm anxious for when the weather's gonna get better, because we're gonna, the remnants of this fiberglass, we're gonna get this out of here. We're gonna start heavy looking into the seals. Gonna look at where, I know in the front right there, on the fore starboard side, if you wanna look at it that way, we're gonna need to get new C-channel for that. We're gonna need to get new corner panels for the front. The back, I'm anxious to get this skin out because there is a dent there, but I think it's fixable, it's salvageable, and as they say, she'll buff out.
That's what he said about me when we got married.
Oh,
just kidding. No. But thank you for bearing with us through the Nevada videos and everything else.
Nevada.
It's been a while since we've worked on the Airstream. I think the last time was
Nevada.
It's Nevada. Definitely Nevada. Yeah, I just actually talked to somebody I met on a story I was shooting who confirmed Nevada.
Nevada.
Anyway, but we really haven't done anything since New Year's Day, I think, and now it's mid-February. So it's been 6 weeks since we together have worked on it, and you know, we do the best we can, but it's tiring. It's more tiring than you think. I mean, you look at it every day, it's like that we work on it, I think, okay, we'll get it all done. And then there's always something that you find that you're like, oh man, how do we get this off? Or how do we do that? And then you gotta find more space for the stuff you take out, and then that takes time, and then you're tired. Like, you're just tired by 4 or 5 hours in. So.
Just little bites.
Yeah.
Little bites.
Speaking of bites, it's time for dinner. I'm hungry.
I'm starving.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, we'll see you next time when we are going to attack more of these panels. But don't forget to subscribe. Our Instagram is @offgridishliving. Offgridishliving on Instagram. And that's a wrap.